What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Create the Courage podcast. This is a show where we dive into the art of chasing your dreams, leveling up your skills, and most importantly, taking charge of your life. I believe that nobody is coming to save you. It's up to you to create the courage to step up, take control, and shape your destiny. As this is a journey I'm on, each episode I chat with people from all over the world and all walks of life to try to learn how they create the courage in their own lives. Now, today, my guest is a man of many talents, from producing a fan film based on the Uncharted game series and starring as Nathan Drake himself, to running two successful YouTube channels, Cosplay Chris, where he builds amazing costumes and props from the world of film, TV, and gaming, to his new channel, Chris Stanley, where he reviews film, TV, and interviews celebrities and filmmakers from all over the world. I thank him for taking the time to come on and chat with me and share his story. So without further ado, here's my chat with Mr. Chris Stanley, a man that definitely represents someone who creates the courage. Chris, mate, welcome. Thank you for coming on the Create the Courage podcast, mate. Thanks for being here. How are you today, sir?
Mate, doing very well. Thank you for having me. I'm very keen to talk nerd goodness and nerd shop with you.
Yes, I've been deep diving on your two channels now this last week in preparation to talk to you, mate. And I actually have a lot to ask you about the YouTube journey and all that type of stuff in this convo. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you. A fellow Aussie. It's always good to have another fellow Aussie in the geekdom to chat to. Because
yeah, mate,
I find,
absolutely. It's nice when we find our own tribe, even when it's at a con on another side of the world and you hear that Aussie accent.
Yeah. Oh, what? There's another Aussie. Happens all the time.
Yeah. The Aussie radar goes off.
It does. I don't know why. Like, so patriotic. It's just that thing. You find another Aussie and you've got to talk to them. It's like you get me. You get me, mate. So look, I just want to pre-frame this. You've got some very cool cosplay outfits, and I guess to kind of scale it back, is it obviously the love of film, but when did you get into film storytelling? Like, what is it that got you into this field, I guess?
Man,
When did you know?
when I was a kid, because I was a proper 90s kid, grew up in the 90s, and it was all about, Batman. And at that time, like, even though Keaton was around, it was the Schumacher Batmans, like Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. Even though they're silly, it's the fascination with those suits. And even though George Clooney's not the greatest Batman, back then I was like, that's Batman. And then my mom introduced me to Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street. So then I got like the horror side of things and special effects, makeup, props. And then when I started high school, I just really started to build stuff and just fiddle and like just use my hands. And then I'd build my first Freddy glove. And during high school, I learned to sculpt with clay, doing the old school gypsum plaster molds with latex castings, like monster masks, like the old school kind of Dom Post style approach. And then eventually getting into silicon molding, resin work. And then now it's all that plus like 3D printing. And 2014 is when I started the first channel, the Cosplay Chris channel.
Wow.
And the year before was my first proper outing cosplaying at like Supernova and Oz Comic Con. And it was like a hybrid Robin Nolan suit. Like, what would Robin look like if he was in the Nolan film? So essentially it was just me buying random pieces of motorbike armor, dirt bike armor off eBay, and just putting something together and just throwing stuff at the wall until it's stuck. And I'm like, that'll do, call it a day. And it was so much fun. And then the next year I went back, which was 2014, with a bat suit. And that's when I started the YouTube channel, because I'd see like movie reviewers and prop builders on YouTube. I'm like, I want to do all that, and kind of incorporate it into one channel, and started the Cosplay Chris channel in 2014. And haven't looked back, man. I'd started the channel whilst I was working for Qantas Link here in Sydney. So the little tiny turboprops that go to like, Wagga, Coffs Harbour, Port Macquarie, all there. We'd even go to like Karratha and stuff like that. So it was a cruisy gig, man. I started in customer service, and then we moved terminals where we had to bus the passengers out, and they needed someone permanently out at the parking bays full time on the radio to be like, yep, bring the passengers out or hold boarding due engineering or weather, whatever. So it was the cruisiest gig.
Yeah.
I was my own boss. I was in this little tin shed out on the tarmac. I'd take my laptop out there and like be editing. And at one point I took silicon molds into work and I'm like pouring resin in the shack. I
That
was
is
just
cool.
like, because there was so much downtime. Like once the planes went away, you got to wait for them to go there, turn around, stock up, and come back. So there was like hours of
Yeah.
downtime, and I'd take the paperwork out for the pilots to sign, like the load sheet and all that, the passenger
Yeah.
manifest for the flight attendants. And then one day, end of 2016, all of us who had that job got pulled in, and they're like, "Your job's been made redundant. The pilots are now
Oh
getting
God.
iPads." And from a business standpoint, that makes total sense because it's quicker lockup time. But I was so happy. I'm like, I'm ready to do this full time, this YouTube thing. And
Yeah.
Qantas were great. They were very supportive. They're like, if there's something else you want to do in the business, we'll help you get there. If you need the training, we'll help you with the training. So they were great. Or they're like, if you want to bail, there's a payout and we'll catch you later. And it was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm like, you just got to see it through and give it the full-time effort that it deserves.
Yeah. Wow.
And here we are today, man. I haven't looked back.
So, okay, hang on. So you left that and you went full time into YouTube, like
YouTube and
you.
Etsy. So I have my Etsy store with all
Okay.
my props. So it's
Yeah.
at least it's like supplements the slow part of YouTube sometimes.
I know that part.
Um,
I definitely know
yeah,
that part.
yeah. Especially January. January is the funnest time on YouTube. And I remember it caused a bit of tension with my dad and I, because my dad is a old school 30-year Qantas man. So that was a bit tricky because my dad's all about, the superannuation, you get your retirement money, mate. Like, and he just means well. He was just concerned because YouTube's very volatile, Etsy's very volatile. So I still remember day one of after my job terminated and I had Etsy orders and I walked into my parents' garage where my workshop is and I was just like, shit, I have to do something. Okay. And just got to work and it's been 10 years of what I call random crapola, where you don't know what each day is going to entail. Case in point, this morning I woke up to do a campaign for the home release of Wolfman, and then I just got an email and I'm off to LA next week with Netflix. So it's very sporadic, all over the place. But I love it, man. I love the spontaneity of it. I love routine, but I also hate routine. It's great. It's the definition of the plan is there is no plan.
Yes. That's look. I love hearing this because this is literally like the journey that I'm on now. Now, how old, if you don't mind, how old were you when you first started the YouTube? How old when you figured it out that that's what you were going to do?
So I started the channel. Oh man, what was I? 26 years old. I started Cosplay Chris, the channel. Like it was Horror FX Productions, and it had a lot of my Freddy gloves that I'd built, and it just lay dormant for years. And I think I was 26 when I started, and then 2016, 2 years in, that's when I hit 100,000 subscribers, and I got flown to my first con to appear at, which of all places was in Shreveport, Louisiana. Which was just insane. Like not Australia, like Louisiana. So 2016 was like one of the funnest years on YouTube, man, because Batman v Superman was coming out, and I was doing the custom collectibles on the kids' toys, and just the hype. Even though the film didn't turn out how we thought it would, just I think it was the hype. It's like when The Dark Knight was coming out, and the hype train was real. So 2016 is. Yeah, and end of 2016 is when I got made redundant. Beginning of 2017, January is when the job terminated. So there was a bit of a processing time between then, but that's when I'm like, well, now it's time to give it full-time effort. Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's so cool. Because the reason why I asked that question is because I'm 42 now, and I started YouTube. I think it was in the pandemic. It was, I think, 2020. So this is going on my 5th year doing YouTube. That's more
Yep.
so with the other channel that I have, the Iron Logan, toy photography and display stuff, all the stuff that people will see in the background here. Not this one. This is the second podcast. Well, the second channel I've started to pursue this dream of talking with people. But like, it took me a long time to get to that point where I really embraced who I knew I wanted to be, or what I was really into. I've always been into movies, film, storytelling, but I just never, you know, no pun intended, I never had the courage to actually dive into it. I never thought that it was something I could do or want to do. So I'm always intrigued when I talk to people like yourself who just have the balls to go all in and just do it and put themselves out there. You know, I guess when you started getting into making stuff, do you think it's the love of the tinkering that you love, the making, the building, or is it the end result of getting to having created something that you can then show people? Or, for me, when I'm making these videos, for instance, I love the time I spend with the characters. It's like if I'm making a video on Batman, I'm going back and watching the Batman films. I'm looking at the comics. I'm looking at images. I'm immersing myself in the world of Batman. And then the video is like the product that I get to show people of my time spent with the character, I guess. What is it like for you? Like, what do you enjoy doing the most, I guess, when it comes to
It
making stuff?
depends on the project, man. Like, and as cliche and as cheesy as it is, it's all about the journey. So, like, the process
Mm,
of, like, take for example, the Mohawk Gremlin here did a video on. It
yep,
was like a model kit off eBay. I had to learn proper airbrushing. It was a
yep,
lot, like a lot of hours went into him, and that was a great journey. But also, just
yep.
especially when I'm editing my videos and I'll catch a glimpse of him in the backdrop and be like, man, so proud of that one. So
Mm,
it depends on the project, but most times out of 10,
mm,
I love the journey of it. I love
mm,
discovering things on a whim, like by
mhm,
accident, like happy little accidents. Like, you'll find a lot in whether it be cosplay, prop design, costume design, whatever. Like, there are so many happy accidents that you stumble upon. It
mm,
becomes then after that a method that you use, and I have a lot of them. Just stuff that you had lying around. You're like, I wonder if this will work, and it works better than what you thought. And
mm.
you then, lock that away in the memory bank. You use that on another project or X, Y, and
Yep.
Z.
I'm a big believer in that. I'm glad you said that because I really think like the YouTube, like whilst we're doing videos for YouTube, the process of doing the things and making the things, I've learned so much myself. Like to hear you say that you've learned all these different skills from prop making to just building things. You can literally build things. And I did watch your room tour when you were talking about your the gremlin there, and the paint job, mate. It looks so professional. Like to know
Thank you,
that
man.
you've gone and learnt the skill of how, like you had to learn how to paint. I mean, just thinking of this in general, you're learning how to make things, learning how to paint things. I'm assuming learning how to sew and put things together. Then you're learning how
Mm,
to edit videos, talk in front of camera. I feel like getting into YouTube and all the people who get into YouTube, you end up having to learn so many different skills that can
mm,
help you in so many other areas of life, even when it comes to other work. At least I feel that way for me. Like getting into toy photography, it just started with taking some pictures of my collectibles. Then it turned into editing photos on using editing apps. Then it turned into videoing, and then it turned it into to editing, and it's so many different paths you go on. Or then cutting music. I'm a big fan of, like, one of the reasons why I love the Dark Knight movies is the music and how
mm.
Hans Zimmer incorporates the music into the films. And I love thinking about how to add music into my videos, even though it's different that may seem. I've thought about the music that's in the background of the videos, stuff like that you learn. So I imagine what you do, it must be so fun to actually create something, because you're actually building things that you then either get to wear or make for other people. Is that something that you do a lot of? So you said you did Etsy. Do you make a lot of stuff for order for people to get as well? Is that like a part of the gig as well?
Yeah, yeah, man. So I've got like a lot of silicon molds, so I can generate copies. So it's like giant ice cube trays. Do a lot of Freddy
Yeah.
busts. So this isn't one that I make, but this is from a very talented artist by the name of Paul Bailey in the United States. So I make one similar to this. a good friend of mine, Sean Dabbs, who's a 3D artist. So I have a scan of Robert Englund, who played Freddy, and then Sean will sculpt the burns. I'll have it 3D printed. I'll clean it up, mold it, do the castings, clean it up, paint work and stuff like that. So do that, do some Batman stuff. Michael Myers hands, like the shotgun blast hand from Halloween 2018, Kills and Ends.
Wow.
And now and then just random things I'll put on there, like one-offs. Like sometimes I'll do a custom collectible, put it on Etsy, and someone will scoop it up. So yeah, the added advantage of say for example, I've got like this silicon mold here of like, a Batfleck emblem for cosplay and stuff like that. So again, it's just a simple flat mold, pour your urethane or whatnot in and pull it out and pop it on a bat suit.
That's so cool. And I love that. I actually watched the Batfleck one. It looked like it was hot. It looked like I think you said in the video you were sweating your butt off. It looked like it was very hot.
There's no such thing as a comfortable bat suit, man. It's just you know what you're in for, but at least at the end of the day you're gonna look like a badass.
Yeah. Oh, that suit looked awesome. I was like, man, like I would love to wear a suit like that. I mentioned to you backstage that I want to get into cosplaying as Spider-Man one day. That's like one of my fitness goals, is to get fit enough or back into shape enough to actually wear a Spider-Man suit. There's nowhere to hide in that. I've thought of all the different tips and tricks I could do. I'm thinking there's nowhere to freaking hide. You can't hide the waist. The slim waist in a Spider-Man suit. Have you ever done anything with Spider-Man? Have you ever considered doing anything like that? Like,
fuck no, man. That's the reason why. There's too much on display. Like I've got in my older years, like I'm 36 now, turning 37. It's harder to get rid of that spare tire that's lingering around. Like I look back on when I started and I did like this Wolverine diet thing for a cosplay and I got absolutely shredded, but I was like in my mid 20s. So like that was easy. Now I'm finding it's hard, man. And like hangovers hit different these days. And it's just everything aches.
Everything does ache. Like I've just started rowing and doing some just basic stuff again. And I'm like, man, like my lower back hurts. I'm like my lower, I try to go for 10Ks and I'm like, all right, I try to do 10Ks per row. It takes me about an hour. I'm not going fast. But I get off and I'm like, oh man, my lower back, I need to roll my lower back out just from doing a row. I'm like, I'm in trouble. I'm actually in trouble thinking that this is
it reminds me of that joke Carl Barron says when he's like, when you're getting old and you fart, and you're like, oh shit, that hurt.
It's so true. It's so true. I think I coughed the other day and I'm like, oh my
I pulled my back coughing and farting. Jesus.
Oh, it's going to be a challenge. I tell you what, it's going to be a challenge. But I'm like, my daughter now, she's 8 and she's getting into fitness. So she did like a little workout the other day when I was doing one. And we went and saw Captain America: Brave New World last night at the cinema. And because I will make my family go to go see the premieres of things if I can. I'll force them to do it, and they will enjoy it. But we saw a friend there, and he's quite jacked, and she's like, "Come on, Dad, you need to get like him. Come on, what's going on with him?" I'm like, "Look, he's like 25. Okay, I'm 42. You just give me a minute, all right?" I try to find some pictures, old pictures. I'm like, "Look, I used to look all right. We'll get there. We'll get there one day." Just oh man. One day. So that's my goal, to do that. I guess one question I wanted to ask you, like you've cosplayed as so many different characters. Like, is there any new ones on the horizon? Anything we can look forward to? Are you doing any more Batman ones, or who you got on who you working on?
So at the moment, he's literally like just out side my study here. It was a bat suit that was originally in a fan film I was supposed to be a part of, and then just things fell through. So I figured, my friend Cam and I, who built the suit, want to see it through. So the suit, the base suit was made in Melbourne by my friend Cam, who's an upholsterer by trade. So he gets access to all these beautiful fabrics, industrial machines. So we're going for like a Gotham by Gaslight, gray, blue suit, the blue cowl, stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say it's like 75 or 75% done. So figuring out the boots, shoulder armor, I've got 6 meters of blue fabric here for the cape, beautiful like draping fabric, and then you've got to pattern and do a cape. So then after that, it's putting all the pieces together and making sure they all look good. Like, if we have bicep armor, shoulder armor, where's the cape going to feed into? Does it look good? Does it cast a good silhouette? And then finally, once all that's done, we'll do a photo shoot, man. So the belt is actually 100 years old, over 100
Oh,
years old.
wow.
So Cam sourced a World War One Swiss belt with the pouches, like the big old, like Frank Miller pouches.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
So,
cool.
and yeah, dude, you're fastening the buckles on it and it's creaking. You're like, oh God, if
Oh,
this thing
yeah.
could talk,
History.
this is history. So yeah, that's the next one. I do want to do the Hugh Jackman Wolverine from Deadpool and Wolverine eventually.
Yes, please.
I,
Yes.
yeah, again, it's one of those things where it's like I get like ADHD, like take on so many projects and then like they're half finished or quarter finished. So I'm like, I really got to pull the reins in and just focus one at a time.
Yeah. That's actually a challenge that I go through with the toy photography stuff. Like I just got a couple figures the other day and I'm like gonna make videos on them all. Like I've got these Paul Atreides ones from InArt. And I want to make a video. Like I've ordered sand, like I've got kinetic sand coming. I'm going to have them with the thumpers and the sand, and I want to do some real cool displays with them. But I'm like in the middle of filming this Spider-Man No Way Home one that's taken me like the last 4 weeks, and then I'm like, I just got a quarter scale Iron Man Mark 6 from Hot Toys.
Oof.
I'm like, I've got to do it live on, bro. The head sculpt is probably the best Tony Stark head sculpt I've seen.
Nice.
And in quarter scale is. But I'm like, I got to do a live unboxing for that. So I'm getting all these projects piling up on top of like, I'm trying to build this channel I got a few more interviews lined up. So I'm like, I'm trying to do these. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to be a dad. I'm trying to run the cleaning business that we have. Me and my wife run a cleaning business. So I'm trying to run that. And it does pile up. And it's like, I just need to focus on getting one thing done at a time. So I definitely get that. But please do Wolverine. Hugh Jackman. Please, if you do Wolverine, I will get a Deadpool costume. That'll inspire me.
Done,
I can hide,
but yeah, but also
you've got
to see the Spider-Man costume through as well.
I definitely do. Do. I've got the mask. I'll have 2 masks, but I've got the mechanical lenses one coming. I'm like, cool. That means I'm all in. So I've just got to, I'll do another workout every day. I actually started doing carnivore. I tell you what, like I started feeling really good doing more carnivore, like a carnivore diet. It's very hard to maintain though.
It's funny you mentioned that. I'm 3 or 4 weeks in and I'm seeing like I've got abs again. So like, I'll have like 4 eggs and then 2 Cruskets with natural peanut butter, but then I'll also have just Greek yogurt with protein and blueberries, keeping the carbs like next to nothing. But if I do have carbs, then I have a heavy train, and it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I thought I'd be like wasting away with like no energy, but I feel like when you up your fat, that then gives you energy. So yeah, I feel you, man. I feel great. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is awesome. Like we found this place over here we could get the eye fillets, like, but the big long tails for actually pretty cheap, like maybe $50-$60 for a tail, but you could get like maybe 12 steaks out of that. So I'm like, all right, 12 steaks. That's like 3 days if I eat a steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I'm like, that's actually saving me money on food if I just eat steak. So I started doing like steak with some eggs, maybe a steak and 2 eggs for breakfast, and they're not big. They're maybe like about that big. Bit of like garlic chili hot sauce on or whatever. And I found my cravings were going away for like chocolates and I'm a sweet tooth. Chocolates are my
same here, man.
started going away. So interesting, isn't it? It's interesting.
I like gone to the days where everything had to be low fat, low fat, low fat, low fat. But then it helps with your hormones, especially when you're training, like, and also making sure to keep my steps up, go make sure to at least 10,000. So, and I'm very active during the day, running around doing stuff. But yeah, it's definitely like I'm seeing a difference. I'm not feeling shit as opposed to back in the day, just chicken and broccoli and feeling just lethargic, and you go to the
Yes.
gym and you're running on fumes, man. It's the old
Yes.
shtick of an actor saying, "Oh, chicken and broccoli." I'm like, bullshit. What else were you
Yeah.
doing?
TRT and whatever.
The was it the Trenbolone sandwiches?
Trent bologna sandwiches. Oh man, look, if only we could have that, it would be a lot easier to get. A
Oh yeah,
lot easier to get in shape.
yeah.
I tell you what. Oh yeah. So I actually went and got my testosterone checked because I'm like, I need let's see where we're at, and now that we're in our 40s.
Mm.
And then because you can get creams and things now if it's low. So I'm like, all right, let's go see. Maybe I could use an extra little bump or a boost to
Yeah,
get jacked. Maybe.
yeah. No,
If you can
absolutely,
do it,
man.
if you Jackman can do it, maybe I can do it.
Oh,
But yeah,
double
I'm
G.
gonna if I could look like that at freaking how old he is, there's
Yeah,
still hope left. There's still hope
yeah,
left. That's what I hold on to.
yeah.
Or maybe maybe I'll end up more looking like Toby Maguire. Either way, I'll be happy. It's in a better state than better state than what I am now. That's for sure. That's
Yeah.
cool that you're doing carnivore. So I fell off a little bit. I was doing it like 80-20, and then I got a little crook, and then I bitched out a little bit and went back and had some breads and things like that. But I'm feeling better again. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get back into it, continue the steaks. I was even doing like steak and prawns just to
Mhm.
mix it up. It's the red meat that you need and the fat, because if you just do chickens and fish, you're not getting enough nutrients. So I've
Yeah.
been told. Luckily, I've got a lot of trainer friends, having worked in the fitness industry for quite a long time, that give me tips and pointers and all that type of stuff. So we can get there. We'll get in shape, and
Oh, yeah.
maybe one day, if I'm super fit and jacked up, I'll come over and we'll cosplay together. I'll come
Done.
visit you and we'll go do a cosplay somewhere. As I
Perfect,
don't know
man.
what Spider-Man I'll be yet, but I'll be one of them. Either or, I like all of them. So
I like
either
that.
one.
I'm keen.
Awesome. So I guess another thing I wanted to talk to you about, the two channels. So I think I know why you've got the two channels, because that's something I've learned, and why I've done the second channel is you kind of confuse the algorithms if you try and do everything on the one channel. You've built Cosplay Chris up very huge. It's a massive channel. What did it feel like starting the other one, knowing that can be a grind to get, people to come from that other channel? I thought when I started this, I've got 23,000 subscribers on the other one. Surely some will come over and it'll boost this one up quite quickly, but that hasn't been the case for me. It's taking its time to build up. Have you noticed that with yours as well? Does it take time to shuffle people from one to the other, or does that not bother you? What's the goal with the Chris Stanley channel, I guess?
Dude, I was terrified when I started the second channel. So this April will be 2 years, and I should have done it 6 years ago. So I was just finding when I put movie reviews and stuff on the main channel, it would confuse the algorithm, wouldn't get as many views, and people are mostly there to see me throw shoe polish and driveway dirt at stuff, which is great, but it also kind of it gets a bit repetitive, and I want people to be able to learn new stuff, and I don't want to be repeating myself, because then I'm not going to learn anything new. So I thought, well, how about I start a second channel that's just dedicated to movie reviews, commentary, unboxings, movie prop appreciation, where it's just talking and, showing stuff off, new acquisitions and stuff like that, and a history of a certain prop. And it's been great. I'm having so much fun on it, man. It doesn't cost anything, whereas cosplay videos cost a lot to build. And so that's why it's a very spread apart on the main channel. But again, also it's not that I'm getting out of cosplay. It's like I want to move on and do other things. I don't just want to be known as the cosplay guy forever. It's been absolutely fun, but there's other stuff I want to do that makes me just as happy, if not more. So the second channel I'm having so much fun with, man. It's great. I should have done it a long time ago, but it was horrifying to start again, because I knew what had come before it, like where I got where I was. And it's not an instant everyone's going to jump ship and come straight over. Like it takes
it's definitely
forever.
not.
Yeah, and then you've got to keep the momentum going, and consistent uploads, and then the algorithm are like, all right, well, we'll put you out there. And it's just like it's a tough slug, man. And especially with commentaries and trailer reactions, you got to be on the ball. You got to sometimes drop everything and run in here and do something, because you want to do it while it's hot. stuff
Mhm.
like that, man. So, but I love the spontaneity of it, but sometimes it's super stressful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I'm kind of with this one. I'm like, okay, can I do a podcast a week? If I can commit to doing one podcast a week, then this channel will just be the podcast once a week, and that should hopefully keep the algorithm happy with what I'm doing.
Mm,
I missed one last week, but being this is the fourth one for this channel, so I'm like, okay, if I can just keep banking one per week, then I'm okay doing that. Whereas the other channel, sometimes it can take me 4 or 5 weeks to get a video out, and then
mm,
the consistency is whilst it's done well, it's hard to be consistent when I'm doing like posing and photography and all that type of stuff. It takes a lot. It's a lot harder to do than talking, just getting in and
mm.
talking about something and then getting out, because sometimes I might spend 2 hours trying to create a scene and I don't get it, and then I'm like, oh, I got
Yep.
to go to bed because I got work the next day, and then it takes like a week to get one scene done. Whereas maybe like doing an unboxing or a review, you could kind of get a good system down and bang it out. But because I don't know what I'm going in until I do it. Like I might watch a movie on all the movies on all the characters to try and get ideas of scenes I could create or things I can do, and that takes time too to go back and rewatch all that stuff. So yeah, it's
100%,
definitely
man. I think my biggest thing with unboxings or like I have a series called like Screen Use Props, Where Are They Now? And it's essentially I just screen record me going through prop store tabs, looking at all the beautiful HD photos of how like bat suits look
yeah,
now. Cause like back in the day, we didn't have any of this. And I
no,
just love nerding out. And people love to watch people nerd out over stuff they're passionate about. And
yeah,
especially film props, man, especially when they're made of stuff that was pre-existing, like a
hmm,
lightsaber or like blasters,
hmm,
costumes, like costumes with stuff that you can find on eBay to this day that cost a pretty penny, but that's the one. That's it. I love
yes,
stuff like that, man. Like even if it's like if it's a bloody shirt, and I'm like, that's the same make and model shirt, man. Look at that. Look at that
yeah,
thing. It matches
yeah,
up.
yeah.
So like a couple of weeks ago, I put a video up. A friend of mine, a fellow horror friend, and myself tracked down and identified the same make and model boots from the original Nightmare on Elm Street that Freddy wore, and
Oh
they're just like these
wow,
obscure military boots that were just like a dime a dozen back in the 80s, and they didn't care
yep,
what they had. It was they probably just went to Vinny's over there and just got whatever, and
yeah.
that was it. But
It
to us,
becomes
it was like,
iconic.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is the one. This is great. It's like, when they probably discovered a Graflex was used to create a lightsaber back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love that stuff. And there's some of the videos I've watched on your channel. I watched the Spider-Man prop ones as
Oh
well
yeah,
that you went
that was
through.
fun.
And it is cool to just, especially when you're into like films, when you're into films in the making ofs, like I'm just always obsessed with how they get stuff made.
Mm,
I think it's just that love of, I'm a big fan of Iron Man. And I think one of the things I love about the Iron Man films is when he's creating stuff. Like it's those scenes in the workshop. I love that
mm,
shit, like of just building the thing or coming up with the idea or whatever. So when it comes to like films, I'm so obsessed with just, how did they make it and how do they light it and make it look the way it
mm.
looks, and then bring it all together to create what it is that we see, I guess, to
Yeah.
tell the story and bring out whatever the emotion is. So now whenever I'm watching movies, sometimes I'm processing those things. Do you ever do that? Like when you're watching movies, are you thinking about like how they made the thing or what's that made of? Is that something that comes up in your mind, or are you able to get lost in the film?
No, unfortunately, I can't switch that part off. So
Mm.
I'm like being like, oh, what fabric's that? Is that 3D printed?
Yeah.
Like last night watching Brave New World, seeing Cap's suit, I'm like, oh, okay, so that's a vest that's sitting
Yes.
over there and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
then like you see like stuff in film where they kind of mock things up a little, and you're like, I see what they did there. That's not how they properly make it, but it's just for like the general movie going audience to mock something up, and you kind of like
Mhm.
pretend. It's like
Yeah.
in Spider-Man 3 when Toby has the fight with the Sandman, he pulls the boot off and sand comes out. And I'm like, well, that's not
Yeah.
how the suit works. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, shut up, you nerd. Just enjoy the movie. Don't worry about it.
I literally said that the other day. Because I rewatched because I'm making a Spider-Man video. I just watched the Raimi ones, and I literally was thinking that when I was watching him tip it out. And I'm like, hang on,
Yeah, yeah.
I've looked
And
at the
also like
suits.
when uh Jay Jonah has the Spider-Man suit on the wall, and it's like the gloves are detached, and I'm like, again, it's just so the general audience are like, oh, that's how it works, and we're just like, no, it's not how
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah, it's not it. It's not it. There's no seam line.
Yeah,
There's no seam line on the neck until he
yeah,
takes it off.
it's all one piece.
Yeah, I'm actually like that too. When I look at that, that's hilarious. More
Yeah.
so since I've been wanting to cosplay. More so since I've been getting interested in that side of it. Because then as soon as I did that, I'm like, oh wow, then I could, because I'm getting into videography and I got like a good rig now. I'm like, oh, I could make something. If I cosplay as something, I could like dress up and film something. And then all those thoughts started to coming in, and I was like, oh my god, like then it becomes overwhelming, and there's almost like too much, too much to think about. Which kind of leads me to just something that I wanted to bring up. I watched your Uncharted film that you're in, and like I watched that doing a row because it was like the perfect length for a row. I'm like, this is perfect. I can sit here and watch it go. Love the American accent, by the way. Good job. I don't think I could ever do an American accent. So I think
It's hard,
you
man.
did very. I can imagine. I can imagine. Now I'm a fan of Nathan Drake. I'm a fan of the games. I don't know. I haven't watched your take on the Tom Holland one. What did you think of the Tom Holland film? Before I go any further,
Well, that's
where
the
did that
reason
hit
why
for you?
that's the reason why we made it.
Oh, is it?
Yes, if that had been like a prequel and it's young Drake, and then hey guys, Sony comes out and goes, the next film we're gonna have final form Drake and an older Sully. I'm like, done, sign me up. That sounds great. Get Nathan Fillion, or there's heaps of other people like that Nathan Fillion Stephen Lang fan film that came out, the high end one, that was so good. But no,
Yes.
that was final form Drake, and that was fucking Mark Wahlberg being like, "Hey, buddy, do you want to go get some treasure? I'm gonna go find some treasure, buddy." And I'm like, "This is not Uncharted. What is this?" And I got like sad, man. Like when you care so much about something, it's I don't know. It just I'm like, and I'd cosplayed as Drake for years, and I pitched it to some friends at the time. I'm like, I want to do like a cosplay short, like not a cosplay short, but like a little short film with one of my cosplayers. And then it just, we fell over and wound up doing what you watch while you were rowing.
Yeah, like it's a full on, like that must have taken a lot of effort. That would have taken a lot of time. Like I'm just watching the intro and outro, and I'm like, just the outro with the credits. I'm like, all the editing and shit you got to do to just make it, just to do that, let alone going out and filming stuff. Must take a lot of time. Like, how long did it take to actually get that made?
Ooh, I planted the seed with everyone in January, and then we had our premiere in November of the same year of 2023. And yeah, it's hard, man, but it takes a village of people. Had a 15 strong crew, wonderful people. Doing in front, behind the camera stuff. Doing the VFX, doing the scores, editing, everything. It's like, and that's like, I edit, but I edit on iMovie because I'm not making a feature film. I'm talking about a new Captain America suit reveal. Like I'm not making a film. So all like, Da Vinci and stuff like that. I'm like, this looks like a fucking airplane cockpit. What am I looking at? What are all these buttons? It's overwhelming. So it was tricky because a lot of us had a lot of jobs. Like we had to wear a lot of hats on that film. I was in charge of doing the costumes as well. And your main one is Drake. You got to make Drake look good because Drake's the center. I had to make sure like hair continuity. I had to constantly like have my stubble at a certain length and make sure hair stayed the same because this all takes place in a matter of days. And make sure we had a compelling villain whom I actually was sitting next to last night at Brave New World, Kurosh. So like he's one of my dearest friends, and
he was great. He was great.
Oh my god, he's so mate. So the apartment scenes were my wife and I's old apartment, the building next door here. Like so, we moved to a bigger place here, but where we filmed in the apartment there, when I pull the map out and all that, that's the building over there.
Oh wow.
And I remember, we're all huddled in this tiny little one-bedroom apartment. And this is the first time I'd seen Kurosh play Kurosh. because we wanted to keep, because he's of Persian descent, we wanted to celebrate the Persian culture, because it is quite beautiful when you read into it, and the Oxus treasures are an existing Persian treasure.
That's cool. That's cool.
So the king's bracelet that's in it has been found, but we kind of just were like, well, we don't want to invent one because that's kind of disrespectful. So then we just kind of be like, the king's bracelet was still missing out there. And I remember when we were getting ready to film, I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm going to hear his voice for the first time. This is great. It's like hearing Bill Skarsgård as Nosferatu for the first time. You're like, what's it going to be? And I'm like, where's Kurosh? And I look out on the balcony, and the balcony sliding door shut. He's out on the balcony sitting on one of our chairs, headphones in, and he's,
oh my God, vibing.
And then he's doing this. He's breathing exercises. And then the shot is when my two good friends, Sam Gironda and Josh Hayes, who play Crank and Reagan, who work for Kurosh, muscle me up, bring me in. And you see Kurosh emerge from the darkness like fucking Michael Myers in Halloween. And he drops the line. And as soon as we all heard that, we're like, yep, we're gonna be fine.
Yeah, he came to play. I loved his cadence. Like, I just thought he was very he's got a good voice to listen to. I thought he delivered all these lines really well. So
yeah, and in real life, Kurosh is a beautiful wordsmith. He knows how to string a sentence together, and then with that accent as well. And he worked a lot on his accent, and obviously with his parents that helped as well. Just kind of get the twangs and stuff like that. And it's kind of similar to like Tom Hardy with Bane. Like, it was kind of like if you've traveled the world, you might pick up a bit of a twang here and there of something else. But also really,
the fire rises. Yes. So I had to do
that. And it just went from there. But and then we had this classically trained actor by the name of Richard Cotter, who played Sully, and he was just the perfect Sully, like a bit of a older Sully. But that was the thing, this is post Uncharted 4, so we're all getting on a bit more. I didn't have to dye my hair because I already had grays in my hair like Nate does, so that's worked out perfectly. But yeah, Richard just brought that gravitas, and he's such a pro. He just gets on set and just makes magic, man.
Oh man, look, I just have to say, like, it was so inspiring to watch it. Like, as someone who loves film and creating stuff, to watch, you made that. You'll always have that to look back on, that you made that, like, that you made that happen. I just love that feeling that you can then show that to your kids one day, or whatever. You've got that to your friends and family, whatever. You've got that to look back on and go, look, we made something happen. I think I find that very inspiring. And dude,
I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of everyone involved, because we had to dig deep. We raised, I think, $7,500, and we made it work. It was a lot of stuff on the fly. But also the beautiful thing about the world of Uncharted is it's nature. You're out and amongst it, like, you're not in buildings per se, so it's a lot of rustic ruins. And we live in a country where we've got some beautiful landscapes and scenery that we can use to our advantage. So yeah,
mate. No, I have to say, kudos to you for getting it done, because it makes me excited to see if you're going to do anything else in the future. Like, is there anything else on the horizon that you're thinking about doing when it comes to that?
Yeah, there is, and it's come back to me recently, because I've kind of got a bit of a second wind to do this again. So this has been incubating since 2017, and
oh wow.
I actually have to reach back out to, like, we still talk, but I need to reach back out to my friend particularly about this. Casey Jones short film.
Oh yes,
Casey Jones, but channeling Elias Koteas, who played Casey in the original films. And I just think
that's the only one that comes to my mind.
Dude, he was so good. He was so bloody good. Like, and particularly the first film. The first film just still stands the test of time. Everything in that film is so good, so dark, so gritty, so brutally beautiful, especially that end
Yep.
fight. The fact that
Yep.
Casey's totally okay with committing murder with the oops with the
Yeah.
truck.
Right.
Yeah, so
It's the
my friend
classic.
Rui and I came up with a treatment years ago, and sometimes things just get shelved.
Yeah.
Imagine how much stuff in Hollywood just gets shelved and
Oh,
put in the archive. So I definitely want to revisit it now, especially because I'm getting older and I'm like, I don't know how long I'm going to be in this particular shape for, because
yeah.
Casey has a very certain physique, but also like really showcase the mania of Casey. Like he's a bit of an unhinged unit. I think he
Yeah.
copped too many hockey pucks to the head, so he's a bit of a weapon, but he's a bit of a larrikin as well.
Yeah, that's so cool. I think that's a great idea. Look, that film is still my favorite Turtles film. That I
Mm,
grew up on that, mate. I love those. Well, I love those movies, but that one in particular. I'm
yeah,
a big Raphael fan.
same,
Raphael
same man.
is my
Yep,
guy.
yep.
He is my guy. I noticed. I think you got a Leonardo. Was it a Leonardo? You've got a NECA Leonardo. Or was it
Yeah,
Raphael?
he's just the shelf above out of frame. I've still got him. I used to have all four boys, but they're so big, and I'm like,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna keep one, it's a Leo. Like I love Raph, but
Hmm.
aesthetically, when it comes to the movie suits, Leo.
Hmm.
Love the look of Leo.
Yeah, yeah, he does. He looks awesome. I tried to get my daughter into watching some turtle stuff. We watched the new cartoon one, and she actually
Oh yeah.
enjoyed that. So I was like, "All right, maybe we'll get you around there
Hey,
one
it's
day.
a
We'll get
start,
you."
man. It's a start.
It's a start. I'm trying to. I find now that now that I've got a little one, I'm trying to influence her with all the things that that I like. I'm like, "Hey, come on, you like this too. This is turtles. Come on!"
No, you're
Like,
just trying to make her cultured. That's all.
yeah, right. I think so.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool that you got to go see Cap last night too. Just briefly, what did you think? What did
I
you think
gave
of
it a
Cap?
2.5 out of 5. It
Yeah.
felt like a bit of a discombobulated Disney Plus series with a bunch of scenes that were like taped together. You could feel the
Mm,
reshoots at certain
yes.
points. I wanted to see more of Tim Blake Nelson because I'm a big fan of his since Oh Brother Where
Hmm.
Art Thou. I think he's just such a great character actor. Anthony Mackie did
Yeah.
the best with what he was given. Like he definitely commands the
Yes.
screen, but I feel like
Yeah.
just with the dialogue and the script, even Harrison Ford, they're probably, I
Mm,
can assume it was one of those things sometimes where they'd look at the script on the day and be like, how the hell am I going to give a performance with this? Like, how am I going to make this work and sell it? And
yeah.
it's Harrison Ford. He makes it work no matter what. You know, he can polish a turd.
Yeah.
But it just kind of went nowhere, and I wanted to see
Mm,
more Red Hulk. So
hmm.
yeah, it was like it had a lot of good going for it, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it was let down by just some interesting writing, editing choices, and
Chaos.
yeah,
Yeah.
chaos and very obvious reshoots.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Like, I just rewatched the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series before leading into it because I do like Anthony Mackie
It's
and I
great. Like
like him as
again, he's
Sam.
doing the best with what he's given, man.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he has that very like when he does his speeches and he talks like the counselor. When he does the counselor talks, I really believe him when he's doing that. I feel like he does a really good job of that.
Hmm.
I'm the type of person that I like to rewatch things a few times just to see where I really land on it. But I'm kind of my wife was definitely in the same boat as you. I probably would have given it maybe you know, I'm a very generous score giver. I probably would have given it maybe a 3.5 or a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Um, that's just how I am. But I definitely felt the reshoots, and I definitely felt like the intro was completely not what it was going to be. I think they
Hmm.
changed that whole intro.
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere that might have been the case. Either way, um, I think he'll be a good Cap moving forward still.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. For sure.
I think so. So when it comes to like reviews and things with the Chris Stanley channel, I guess moving forward, are you hoping to build that channel where you maybe get to go and interview celebrities and go to like events and do that type of thing more? Is that somewhere where you're going with that channel, do you think?
Yeah, so it's already begun per se. So I've got to
Yep.
interview, people from various projects. So I got to interview the
Yes,
girls from
correct.
Evil Dead Rise, Zack Snyder
Hmm.
for Rebel Moon.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Damn, I'll have to go and check it.
Yeah, he's a delight, man. I know the poor guy cops a lot, and so did Rebel Moon. But yeah, he's very sweet. He's a big kid. Got to interview the director of Smile 2. Yeah,
Nice.
it's been great, man. I definitely want to interview more people, get out there, just
Mhm,
celebrate film props, but also I want to do more acting, man. Like it's obviously
mhm.
I'm taking on a lot, but I just want to do it all. Yeah,
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm going to go back and check that Zack Snyder because I don't care what anybody says. I love Zack Snyder movies. Visually, I think he's one of the best
yeah,
directors out there.
yeah,
Easily 300. Come on.
yep.
Watchmen director's cut is I love that movie.
Hmm.
All these films, Dawn of the Dead, but Zack Snyder's Justice League, I will still attest his version of the film. How that studio did not think to go with that the first time round are a bunch of fools. That film will forever be one of my favorite comic book superhero movies of all time. I
It's
don't know where you
yeah.
stand on that, but I freaking love. I just love everything about that. I love
It
how
it
long it
look,
is.
it's
I
definitely
love
an
all of it.
improvement. And yeah, like it's the power of fandom that happened as well, which is cool.
Yeah,
It's a shame Affleck didn't get his solo film because like I have a tattoo
mm,
of Affleck on my arm, so he's
yeah,
my favorite Batman.
sure.
Despite
Yeah.
what a lot of people say, and it's not to take away from Bale, Keaton, hell, even Kilmer, man. Kilmer's a very good Bruce Wayne. But then
Hmm.
obviously, the legend that is Kevin Conroy, rest in peace. But
Hmm.
to me, Affleck, I love an old grizzled Batman, like the Frank Miller
Hmm.
version. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Affleck has the
Visually, bro.
stature and he
Yeah,
was so
visually.
good in BVS. He was a great Bruce Wayne too. So it's a shame we never
Hmm.
got that solo film with Deathstroke
Hmm.
with Joe Manganiello. And
Yep.
could have been so good, man.
Bro, I am 100% with you on that. Ben Affleck is still to this day one of my favorite directors, but
Mhm.
also one of my favorite movies of all time is The Town, directed by him and Sony. I
Sounds
don't know if
great,
you've
man.
seen it,
Argo is
bro. I
so
love
good.
that movie. Argo. Oh, he's done another one where he directed with his brother Casey Affleck. Casey Affleck's the star of it. Ben just directed it. If you haven't seen it, I'll
Okay.
try and remember the name.
I liked
It's about a
Air
little
as
girl that.
well. Air was good.
Yes, man.
Air was
He's
great.
just he's a G. I love Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
So I got love for him. It's a shame he didn't get to do the Batman for sure.
Mm.
And he's in great shape again. Like he could have, he's got his seems like he's got himself in order now. It would have been good timing to
Yeah.
get another one out there. So that's
Mm.
so cool with the channel because again, that's inspiring because I'm like, cool, that's one thing that I want to do and hopefully do with this channel is build it up where I can maybe go out there and talk to more people in the industry, especially in the entertainment industry, being that I just love storytelling so much.
Yeah.
And just see how things get made more. So um, more power to you, mate. I'm excited to see where you're going to go with the channel, with both channels. To be honest, I think there's some bright things ahead. You said you're going to LA soon. What's that
Yeah.
for again?
So again, like email came through this morning. It's all very quick. So next Friday, flying out for several days, just for a event with Netflix. So that should be a bit of fun, man. Those are good ones to add to the resume. And you meet some
Hell
very
yeah.
talented creatives there as well. And hopefully, now and then you get the chance to interview talent, which is fun. But again,
Mm,
it can be very like things just happen quickly, and you're like, oh, this is happening now. Change your schedule. We've got to do this now. We've got to be here now. Or they've only given you
yeah.
5 minutes each. Sometimes you got to like really think on your feet.
It's-
So
yeah.
this will be like I think my 12th or 13th time back to LA. Like I love the place,
Wow.
man. It's I love it. I absolutely adore it.
That's so cool. No, I've not been once. So if I could just get there once, that would be exciting for me.
You've
One,
got
if
to
I could just
do
get
it.
one.
The incentive for your daughter and your wife is we'll go to Disneyland at Anaheim. We've got Universal Studios. And then for you,
Yes.
it's all about the movie making stuff.
Yes. Yeah, that's the goal, brother. That's the goal. We're actually opening there's a movie studio coming here in Perth, which I'm super excited for. It's going to be able to house like 80 to 100 million dollar films over here, so I'm excited for that coming.
Wow.
So that's one thing I'm
Nice.
looking. Yeah. Yeah, so Perth is about to fire up. Crazy thing is it's like 12 minutes from where my house is. So I'm like I'm going to be 12 minutes from a movie studio. So I'm like this
There you
videography
go.
thing, like the things are starting to click and then maybe I can hook one day get
Yeah.
myself to the States actually just go
Things
and check
happen
this
for a
place.
reason, man.
Right, I definitely think so. So to wrap up, then, because I'm conscious of time, mate. One thing, you're living your dream essentially, right? You're doing YouTube full time. You're chasing your dream. That's something that inspires me. That's something that I'm trying to do. What would your advice be? And it's something I like to ask everybody for someone else who's wanting to get out there and create the courage and go after whatever their dream is and what they want to do. Do you have any parting words or tips that you could offer to someone who's willing to do that you've implemented in your life to get you where you are and that you're still doing, I guess?
Mate, I'm going to get real cheesy and real corny, but I think it's the only way to really get the message across. You're here for a good time, not a long time, but at
Yeah.
the same time, this is words of wisdom from my father-in-law: leap and the net will appear. If it makes you happy, do
Mm.
it. It's going to be scary at first, but scary's good. We can work with scary. The reason why you're scared is because it means you give a shit. Um,
Mm.
and it's not going to be easy some days. And if it's just you doing it, no one else is going to do it but you. So there are days where you probably don't want to do X, Y, and Z. But if it's not a case of forcing yourself, but just know that when you do it, it's that next step forward with being where
Mm.
you want to be in life. And again, there's going to be times where there's probably a lot of self doubt and a lot of comparison to other people that possibly are at a certain point. And it's the hardest thing ever to not compare yourself. Like, we're all guilty
Mm.
of it. And some people can say it's a healthy thing, but I also think it's a bit of a waste of time. But
Mm.
at the same time, man, if you are happy and you are thriving, then that's like the best gift in the world. Like, I'm not going to say I still have to hustle because no one else is going to
Mhm.
do it but me. And there are times where it gets a bit scary, and I'm like, hey, maybe I should get a bit of a casual job and stuff like that. And
Mm.
my wife is so incredibly supportive of what I do. She's like, don't, keep going, because that's not the person I fell in
Mm.
love with. I don't want you to have to put what you've
Mm.
worked for 10 years on by the sidelines to, you know, she's like, we will make it work. We always make it work. And she says, you always make it work. You always, you provide, and like, we're a team, but I never
Yeah.
want to be that mooch of
Mhm.
a spouse. So it's
Yeah.
like clothes clothes it in the childcare industry, so she's fine. She's worked very hard to get where she is, and obviously her income is a lot more less sporadic than mine, put it that way. So I
Mhm.
when people
Yeah.
ask what I do, I'm like, freelance artist, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
So
A hustler.
yeah, a hustler, man. It's all about the hustle. So yeah, it's gonna be scary, but use it. Like, it just means you care at the end of the day. If it gives you the warm fuzzies in your gut, trust your gut a lot
Mhm.
as well. There are times when you know to trust your heart, but also trust your gut. If it feels right in your gut,
Mm.
do it. Because I think the saddest thing in life is to get to the end of your life in your later years and have them full of regret, and been like, I
Yeah.
should have done this. Why did I stay here? Um, so again, man, like, life's short. Again, very cliche, but life is short. So
Mm.
you've got to make it a good one.
Right, mate. That's that. All of that, all of that resonates with me. Literally, I don't think it's cheesy at all, because being 42 now, like I really think I'm on that level of I'm just chasing my dream and doing it is what it is that I want to do. And I'm lucky, like yourself. I have a wife that's so supportive. My wife and my child are so supportive with all the stuff I do. They support this addiction in the background. Uh, they support me to be, and it is an addiction. They support all of that, which makes being able to do stuff like this, me being able to talk with you here now, is because my wife, is giving me the time to have, in the middle of the day to be able to do a podcast. So I'm very thankful of that. Shout
Yeah.
out to Lani and Mila. But everything you just said totally resonates, mate. And I think anybody who's listening to this who is unsure and a bit worried, what you said that your father-in-law said, jump and the net will appear. I love that. I love that.
Yep.
I've never heard that ever. And I
Yeah,
love
you've
that.
just got to trust the process, man. And yeah,
I love it.
he's always stood by that. So, and he's
Yeah.
he's he's a self-made man. He's an entrepreneur. He's worked hard, and there are times where it can get scary. So I think that's why he's very encouraging of what I do as well. Because
Yeah.
it can be a bit embarrassing sometimes telling people what you do, because they're like, "What the hell is that?" Like,
Mm.
I come from a town where it's the usual shtick is, if you're a bloke, you become a laborer or a mechanic.
Mhm.
If you do admin and all that,
Mhm.
and then you go to the same pub every weekend, and before you know it, you're retired, and that's it. I'm like, no,
That's
I'm
it.
good. I'll still go to the pub, but I've got other stuff to do as well.
Yeah, I complete look. You're preaching to the choir because when I realized, which was only about 4 or 5 years ago, is that I'm going to be my true self and not be ashamed of the stuff I'm into. I love
Yep.
stories. I love storytelling. I love heroes. I love the theme of heroes. I'm the type of guy that returns the trolley no matter where I get the trolley from, because I think that's a part of showing that you have integrity to
You're
return
a
the
good
trolley.
man.
Yeah, like that. That's the stuff that I'm into. I'm like, Spider-Man would take the trolley back. He wouldn't
And
leave
get
it
his
there.
$2 back from the Audi trolley.
Yes, yes, he would. He would definitely do that. So I'm a big believer in that.
Yep.
So I'm like, I'm no more ashamed. I'm following my dream, following my passion, and getting to talk to awesome people like you. So I thank you for coming on again, brother. I'll put a link to both your channels in the description below. This will go
Thank you,
out
man.
on YouTube and Spotify. So everybody who does watch this, be sure to go and check out both Chris's channels and check out his content, and let's support local content as well. Let's support the Aussies getting up in there in the game, because it's good to see more of us out there in the YouTube space, I think, and getting into the entertainment industry and all that type of stuff. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Chris, thanks again, mate, for taking the time to come on and talk to me today. You've given me some good inspiration for my cosplay stuff, and I look forward to getting jacked and ripped so I can don the Spider-Man suit one day.
Mate,
God
I'm
help
holding you
me.
to
Maybe
that,
by the
but
time.
thank you very much for having me, man. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. And good luck on your trip to LA, and go and kick some ass over there and take some names. Look
Thanks, man. I
forward to
better
seeing
start
what you do,
packing.
brother. You better start backing. All right, mate. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll end it there, and we'll catch you next week on the Create the Courage. Peace.